The Empire controlled 40% of the known galaxy. Their ships were fast and powerful. Their soldiers were trained for centuries. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. Generals sat in the command center looking at reports of human activity near the edges of space. Was old for over 300 years old. He had fought in wars that lasted decades. He had defeated species that other commanders thought unbeatable. He looked at the human reports with a thin smile on his face. "The humans are expanding again," said to the council members around him. "They move slowly. Their ships are old. Their weapons are weak compared to ours. They will never be a problem for the Empire." The council members nodded in agreement. They had heard this before. The humans were far behind in technology. The humans did not have faster-than-light travel until 50 years ago. The humans did not have shields until 30 years ago. The humans were still learning how to be a space-faring species. "What about the colony on 7? Asked council member. He was younger than only 100 years old. He had studied human behavior and human military history more than other officers. "The humans are developing new weapons technology. They adapt quickly to new situations. We should reinforce the colony. We should prepare for human aggression." Turned and looked at with cold eyes. "The humans will never be a threat to us. The 7 colony is safe under protection. It has 2,000 workers and families living there. It has ore that we need. The humans cannot reach it in time if anything goes wrong, and nothing will go wrong. I am certain of this." The council voted. They agreed they would not send extra ships to 7. They would not increase defenses. They would not worry about the humans. The meeting ended and the council members left to go about their daily work. Stayed behind. He looked at the data on the screens. The human was growing. The human weapons were becoming more advanced. The human strategy was becoming more clever. Felt fear in his heart, but he said nothing. No one would listen to him. Far away on the human colony world called Station Gamma, Commander Lisa Morgan sat in front of her own set of screens. She was human, and she had dark hair and serious eyes. She had spent her entire life in the military. She understood war and strategy better than almost anyone in the human fleet. "We are picking up more activity near 7, said her communications officer, a young woman named Sarah Mills. "It looks like they are mining there. There are about 2,000 on that colony. Families are living there." Morgan leaned back in her chair and thought about this. They had been the humans' main rival for the past 100 years. The humans had fought 3 small wars over territory. Each time, the humans had learned something new. Each time, the humans had gotten stronger. But Morgan was not worried about the right now. She was worried about other threats. There were many dangerous species in this region of space. The Collective was one of them. They were brutal and violent. They conquered worlds without mercy. They killed everyone who resisted them. "Monitor the 7 colony," Morgan ordered. "If anything unusual happens, alert me immediately and increase surveillance of activity. I have a bad feeling about this sector." Sarah Mills nodded and returned to her work. Morgan continued looking at the reports, her military instincts telling her that something bad was coming. On 7 itself, the colony was peaceful and busy. Mining machines moved across the red soil. Workers carried ore from deep tunnels. Families lived in pressurized domes where plants grew and children played. The sun above them was smaller than the human sun, but it provided enough heat and light for life. Captain commanded the forces on 7. He was confident and proud. He had 100 soldiers under his command. He had shields that could protect the colony. He had weapons that could destroy any enemy. He believed nothing could harm thee on this world. That night, a child named played with other children near the colony dome. His mother watched him from inside the dome. She was a scientist studying the soil composition of 7. She had lived on this world for 5 years. She loved her work. She thought this place was safe. Ran and laughed. He did not know that his life was about to change forever. He did not know that danger was coming from the stars above. He was simply a child, playing in the red dust of an alien world. In the deep tunnels beneath the colony, Dr. Aaron Hayes worked in the communications center. He was human, working as a communications expert. He was tall and thin with gray eyes. He had come to 7 because the money was good and the work was interesting. Aaron checked the emergency broadcast systems. He tested them once a week to make sure they worked. He knew that in space, being able to call for help could mean the difference between life and death. Today, he tested the system and found everything working perfectly. He did not know that he would need to use this system very soon. Far away in space, the collective was moving towards 7. There were tall beings with gray skin and large black eyes. They had powerful muscles and sharp teeth. They were warriors by nature, bred for violence and conquest. They had no mercy. They had no compassion. They only understood strength and domination. The commander was named Vex. He had conquered 15 worlds. He had killed thousands of enemies. He had never failed in a military operation. He looked at the reports of 7 and decided it would be easy to conquer. The morning came on 7 like any other morning. The small sun rose over the horizon. Workers began their day in the mines. Families prepared food and sent children to learning centers. Nothing seemed different. Nothing showed that death was coming from the sky. At the communication center, Dr. Aaron Hayes drank warm liquid and reviewed messages from the human outpost. Everything was normal. They had not reported any threats. The mining operations were running smoothly. It was a good day, or so it seemed. Then the alarms screamed. Aaron heard them first through the speakers in the communication center. High-pitched and desperate, the alarms meant one thing: attack. His hands moved quickly across the keyboard in front of him. He opened the surveillance cameras that monitored the sky above the colony. What he saw made his blood cold. Warships appeared above 7 like dark clouds. There were 5 large battleships and 12 smaller attack craft. Their engines burned bright red as they descended toward the colony. They were not attempting to hide or approach quietly. They were coming to destroy everything, and they wanted everyone to know it. Aaron opened the communication channel to Captain. The connection was immediate. "Attack forces," Aaron shouted. "5 battleships and multiple fighters, they are coming in fast." Captain did not panic. He was a soldier trained for exactly this situation. But deep in his mind, he knew the truth. He did not have enough soldiers to defend against 5 battleships. The colony was meant to be safe, far from any enemy territory, had never expected to face a real battle on this world. "All soldiers to defense stations," commanded. "Activate shields, begin evacuation of civilians to the underground bunkers. This is not a drill." The colony transformed instantly. Peaceful miners and scientists became refugees. Mothers grabbed their children. Fathers ran toward shelters. Alarms continued to sound everywhere, creating panic in some people and focus in others. On the surface, the mining machines stopped moving. Workers ran for the dome exits. They moved toward the emergency tunnels that led deep underground where the bunkers were built. The bunkers had been constructed long ago as a precaution, but no one had ever used them in a real emergency. His mother held her son's hand tightly as they moved down the tunnels, was scared. He could feel his mother shaking as she pulled him forward. Other people crowded around them, all moving toward safety. The ships descended rapidly. Captain watched from his command post as his shield generators came online. The shields protected the colony like an invisible dome. When the first weapons fired, the shields flared with bright blue energy. The colony shook. The ground beneath people's feet moved. Lights in the tunnels flickered for a moment before the backup power came online. The first attack had hit, but the shields held. Sent his fighters up to meet the attack craft. The fighters were smaller and faster than the ships, but the pilots were experienced and brutal. The first engagement was short and terrible. 2 fighters exploded. 1 fighter was damaged but remained in the air. Realized his mistake in that moment. He had divided his forces. He had kept some soldiers in the tunnels to protect the civilians. He had sent others to defend the main dome. He had kept some in reserve. This division of forces was his greatest error. They were not trying to take the colony intact. They were trying to destroy it. Wave after wave of attacks came from the sky. The shields held against most of them, but they were draining power. Calculated that the shields would last maybe 1 more hour, maybe less. In the communication center, deep underground, Aaron continued to monitor everything. He saw the shields dropping. He saw the forces being pushed back. He saw that the colony would fall. He made a decision that might save lives or might bring death to everyone. He began to compose an emergency distress message. He would send it not to the Empire, which was too far away to help. He would send it to the humans at Station Gamma. The Inhumans were not allies, they were not friends, but they were not enemies anymore either. Maybe the humans would help, maybe they would ignore the message, but Aaron had to try. His fingers moved fast across the keyboard. He typed in the coordinates of 7. He typed in the number of people on the colony. He typed in the names of the leaders. He typed in details about the forces. He made the message as clear and detailed as possible. Then he added something more. He added a personal message. He wrote that 2,000 people would die without help. He wrote that families and children were in the bunkers hiding from weapons of war. He wrote that if anyone was listening, if anyone cared, they needed to come now. Aaron pressed the button to send the message. The signal flew out into space at the speed of light, traveling toward Station Gamma. It would take several hours to arrive. Aaron did not know if anyone would respond. He did not know if anyone was even listening. Above ground, the attacks continued. Captain watched his shields drop lower and lower. He had lost 4 more fighters. He had lost 30 soldiers. He still had only 100 soldiers total, and now 70 of them were dead or unable to fight. The commander Vex watched the shields weakening. He smiled a smile full of sharp teeth. The battle was already won. There were nothing. The humans would not come. This world would be his. Made a new decision. He could not win this battle in the air. He could not protect the surface. So he would consolidate his forces. He would pull back. He would protect the entrance to the underground bunkers. If they wanted the civilians, they would have to fight through soldiers to reach them. He ordered the remaining fighters to break off and return to land. He ordered soldiers from the dome to fall back. The distress message from Dr. Aaron Hayes arrived at Station Gamma at 2 in the morning. Sarah Mills was working the night shift in communications when the signal came through. She had been watching the monitors, drinking cold coffee, and thinking about her bed when the message appeared. Her eyes widened as she read it. A colony under attack, 2,000 people, forces. She did not hesitate. She activated the emergency alert and called Commander Lisa Morgan directly. Morgan arrived at the command center within 5 minutes. She was wearing a flight suit and had clearly been sleeping, but her mind was sharp and focused. She read the message from Aaron twice. Then she looked at the star charts showing the distance to 7. "How long to get there?" she asked. Sarah pulled up the calculations. The Defenders, Resolute, Liberty, and Phoenix could make it in 18 hours if they burn full power. Nothing else can go faster than that. Morgan nodded. 18 hours. The colony might not last 18 hours, but 18 hours was all they had. She began giving orders immediately. "Activate the," she said. "I want every combat ship ready to go. Get the 4 fastest ships prepared for immediate launch. Alert Captain Robert Cole. Tell him he is commanding this mission. Get me General on a secure channel. I want to speak with him." The command center came alive with activity. Officers moved to stations. Technicians began the startup sequences for the ships. Pilots were woken from sleep and told to report to their vessels immediately. Within 30 minutes, Morgan had a secure channel to 7. She heard static first, then a human voice. "This is Dr. Aaron Hayes," the voice said. "Is anyone there? Can anyone hear me?" "This is Commander Lisa Morgan of the Human Defense Fleet," Morgan said clearly. "We received your distress message. We are sending help. We are sending 4 of our fastest warships. They will arrive in 18 hours. For a moment, there was only silence on the line. Then Aaron's voice came back, shaking with emotion. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you. We did not know if anyone would answer. We did not know if humans would help." "We help anyone being attacked," Morgan said. "That is what humans do. Stay alive, survive. We are coming." The transmission ended. Morgan turned to her officers and began planning the strategy for the battle to come. At the shipyards outside Station Gamma, activity increased dramatically. The Defenders was the fastest of the human warships. Captain Robert Cole stood on the bridge of his ship, reviewing the mission details with his officers. Cole was a military officer with dark hair starting to turn gray. He had fought in 3 wars. He had commanded ships in battles against multiple species. He understood combat and strategy the way some people understand breathing. His chief engineer was Commander Price, a tall man with a mechanical mind who understood every system on the ship. His pilot was Lieutenant Maya Torres. A woman who could fly a ship like it was part of her body. 4 ships against what sounds like 5 battleships, Cole said, reading the reports. "This will be difficult, but we have advantages. We have better shields, we have faster engines, we have better weapons. And we have something they do not have." "What is that, sir?" asked Lieutenant Torres. "We have human ingenuity," Cole said. "We adapt to situations. We think in ways enemies do not expect. They rely on brute force. We rely on strategy. That is our advantage." The 4 ships were prepared for launch. Soldiers and crew members checked weapons, tested systems, and prepared for battle. Everyone knew this was dangerous. Everyone knew some of them might not come back, but they also knew that people needed help, and humans answered that call. At the High Command, General received the news from Morgan. A human was coming. 4 ships were being sent to help. The humans had actually responded to the distress call. Felt something inside him shift. For 300 years, he had believed that humans were weak and unreliable. For 300 years, he had believed that they were the superior power. Now, in a moment of crisis, the humans were responding. The humans were coming to help. He contacted Commander Morgan again through the secure channel. "Commander, this is General. I want to thank you. I did not think humans would help us." Morgan's voice came back calm and steady. "We would help anyone facing what you are facing. They are enemies of all peaceful species. They cannot be allowed to conquer worlds. Send us all the information you have about defenses on 7. Send us everything you know about the forces there. We will use that information to plan a strategy that works." The military sent detailed information about the colony's defenses, its layout, and the forces. Morgan and her tactical officers studied this information carefully. They began to understand the situation better. "The colony will be badly damaged, maybe destroyed before we get there," said one of Morgan's officers. "Should we even go?" "We go because lives are at stake," Morgan said firmly. "We go because that is what we do. We protect the helpless. We stand against those who prey on the weak. We are human, and humans have always done this. We do it without question and without hesitation." The 4 warships began their acceleration towards 7. The defenders led the way, with the Resolute, Liberty, and Phoenix following close behind. Their engines burned bright against the darkness of space. On the bridge of the defenders, Captain Cole stood and watched the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, a colony was under attack. Somewhere out there, people were dying. And somewhere out there, a human was coming to stop it. Cole thought about tactics. He thought about defenses. He thought about what they would find when they arrived. He began to form a plan in his mind. It was a dangerous plan. It was a plan that might not work. But it was a plan that gave the colony a chance at survival. The battle on 7 had been raging for 16 hours. The defenses were crumbling. Captain and his remaining soldiers held a position near the bunker entrances, but they were losing ground. They were relentless and brutal. They attacked wave after wave, and with each attack, the forces grew smaller. In the underground bunkers, over 2,000 people huddled together in darkness. Many were wounded. Some were dying. Parents held children and tried to protect them from the sounds of explosions and weapons fire that echoed through the tunnels above. Held his mother's hand and asked her if they were going to die. Did not have an answer for her son. Dr. Aaron Hayes remained in the communication center, tracking the human. The ships were getting closer. They would arrive soon. Maybe within the next hour. But would the colony last that long? Hayes could see on his monitors that forces were being overwhelmed. Above ground, Captain stood with his last group of soldiers. He had maybe 20 left. 20 soldiers against hundreds of. The odds were not good. The odds were terrible, but would not move. He would not let them reach the civilians below. Commander Vex watched the resistance crumble. He felt no satisfaction. Destroying weak opponents brought no glory. But the resources on this world would be valuable. The ore they mined was valuable. The colony would be destroyed, but the value would be taken. Then his tactical officer's voice came urgently through his communications system. "Commander, multiple human ships appearing. 4 human warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They are entering the system now." Vex turned in shock. Human ships? This was not predicted. The humans should not be able to respond so quickly. But they were here and they were moving towards 7. Above the planet, 4 human warships appeared like shining arrows from the dark. The defenders led them, with the Resolute, Liberty, and Phoenix following in perfect formation. The ships were smaller than the battleships, but they moved with incredible speed and purpose. Captain Cole stood on the bridge of the defenders and issued immediate orders. "All ships fire on the command vessel," he commanded. "Begin evasive pattern 7. Lieutenant Torres, bring us in at high speed. Commander Price, I need full power to weapons and shields. Move." The human warships unleashed their first attack. Kinetic weapons, energy disruptors, and plasma projectiles filled the space around 7. The command ship was hit immediately. Its shields flared under the assault. The pilots had expected a longer engagement. They had expected to have time to defeat the and leave before any real threat appeared. They had not expected this. They had not expected human ships to be this fast, this coordinated, or this accurate. Cole directed the battle with the precision of a conductor leading a symphony. The human ships moved in patterns that could not predict. When the enemy tried to attack, the human ships were already moving to a new position. When the enemy tried to defend, human weapons were already striking from a different angle. The forces were confused. Their tactics relied on overwhelming firepower and numbers, but the humans were using strategy and adaptation. The humans anticipated movements before they happened. The humans adjusted their weapons targeting in real time. One battleship tried to turn toward the defenders. Cole saw the movement coming and changed his approach vector. The weapons fired at where the defenders used to be, but the ship was gone. The defenders' weapons struck the ship in the exposed area where its shields were weak. The battle changed rapidly. Instead of a long siege, it became a desperate retreat. Commander Vex watched his advantage disappear. He realized that his forces could not win against these humans. The humans were too smart. The humans were too fast. Below, on the surface of 7, Captain watched the sky light up with the human attack. The forces that had been pressing him suddenly began to pull back. The soldiers looked up at the sky in fear and confusion. Understood what was happening, help had arrived. An assault squad was moving toward a group of refugees who had become separated from the main evacuation. There were civilians, including children, huddled together trying to hide. The soldiers moved toward them with weapons ready. Then a human shuttle broke through the cloud coverage and descended rapidly. The shuttle was not designed for combat, but it was being piloted by Captain George Mitchell, a human pilot with years of experience in dangerous situations. Mitchell opened the shuttle's cargo door and fired its defensive weapons at the soldiers. The burst of fire was enough to distract them. He landed the shuttle near the refugees and called out through the external speaker. "Get in, move, go now." The refugees did not hesitate. They ran toward the shuttle. A mother grabbed 2 children. A scientist helped an older who was injured. They poured into the open cargo door as Mitchell kept his defensive weapons firing to keep them from getting close. One soldier tried to rush the shuttle. Mitchell's weapon struck him and the soldier fell. Mitchell did not feel good about killing, but he felt better about saving lives. The last refugee got inside and he sealed the cargo door. "All aboard," Mitchell said into his radio, heading back to the defenders. The shuttle lifted off and climbed toward the sky. Behind them, the forces regrouped, but they were no longer attacking. They were being pushed back by human firepower from above. In space, the battle was turning in humanity's favor. The command ship was badly damaged and burning. 2 other battleships were retreating. The remaining forces were trying to regroup and organize a defense, but the human ships would not give them time. Cole made the decision to push the attack harder. "All ships, focus fire on the damaged command vessel. Push them away from the planet. Do not let them maintain their attack position." The human warships coordinated perfectly. They moved together, firing together, pressing the attack with ruthless efficiency. The command ship could no longer maintain its position over 7. It began to pull away. When the commander realized that he was losing, he made his own decision. He signaled a full retreat. All forces were to leave 7 and return to their ships. The humans had won. The invasion had failed. The ships accelerated upward, leaving the planet behind. They wanted distance between themselves and the human. They had learned a hard lesson about underestimating their enemies. Cole watched them go but did not chase them. His mission was not to destroy the fleet. His mission was to save the colony. That mission was accomplished. "All ships cease fire," Cole commanded. "Stand defensive positions around 7. Begin search and rescue operations. We have civilians to save." On the surface, Captain lowered his weapon and looked at the sky. The soldiers who were still alive on the ground were being defeated by and human forces working together. It was over. In the bunkers below, the alarms stopped sounding. The explosions stopped. There was silence. Then a voice came through the speaker system. It was a human voice speaking in a language they did not understand, but the meaning was clear. "This is the human. The attack has been stopped. You are safe now. You are safe." The evacuation of 7 took 3 days. Human medical teams worked alongside doctors to treat the wounded. There were many wounded. Over 1,000 had been killed or seriously injured in the battle. The human medical bay on the Defenders was filled with patients needing treatment and recovery. Captain George Mitchell helped carry wounded from the surface to the medical areas. He saw the damage that they had done. He saw the destroyed buildings and the burnt-out defense positions. He saw the cost of the war. On the bridge of the Defenders, Captain Cole coordinated the evacuation efforts. Shuttle after shuttle flew between the surface and the human warships. Families were brought up from the bunkers. Workers were rescued from damaged areas. Medical supplies were distributed. The colony was being saved, one person at a time. General came down to the surface to assess the damage. He walked through the ruins of the colony and he saw everything. He saw the destroyed defense positions where his soldiers had died. He saw the bunkers where the civilians had hidden from the attacks. He saw the results of his decision to underestimate human capability. At the communications center, Dr. Aaron Hayes worked with human communications officers. He was helping to organize the rescue efforts. He was also gathering data about what had happened and preparing reports for both the command and the human forces. Commander Morgan arrived on a shuttle to assess the situation in person. She wanted to see the damage. She wanted to understand what they had done. She wanted to meet with leadership to discuss what came next. General met Morgan in the ruins of the colony's main dome. The dome itself was destroyed, but they could still see where it had been. The two leaders stood in the dust and destruction, and they looked at each other. "Your forces saved my people," said. His voice was formal but sincere. "We did not expect this. We did not believe humans would help. I was wrong in that belief." Morgan nodded. "Humans help those who are being wronged. They attacked your colony. Our people responded. That is what humans do." "I made a grave error in judgment," continued. "I told my council that humans were weak. I told them that humans could never be a threat to the Empire. I was arrogant, and my arrogance almost cost 2,000 lives." "What matters now is what comes next," Morgan said. "They will attack again. They will attack human colonies. They will attack colonies. They will attack any world they can conquer. We need to work together to stop them." Looked at the destruction around him. He thought about the families he had seen boarding human shuttles. He thought about the children who had hidden in bunkers. He thought about how close they had come to complete disaster. "I will go before the High Council," said. "I will recommend that the Empire pursue a treaty with humanity. I will recommend that we establish a military alliance. That cannot be stopped by one species alone, but together we might have a chance." Over the next 2 days, the evacuation was completed. The last wounded were brought up to the human medical bays. The last families were removed from the bunkers. The colony on 7 was being abandoned. The humans would not stay there. They could not stay there. The colony was too damaged and the threat was too immediate. Captain Cole called a meeting in the Defenders' main conference room. General attended with his surviving officers. Commander Morgan attended with her tactical team. Dr. Aaron Hayes attended to provide information about what had happened during the attack. "They will not stop here," Cole said to the assembled leaders. "This was one attempt to expand their territory. There will be other attempts. We need to prepare for that." Nodded in agreement. "The military is strong, but we were caught unprepared. Our defenses in other colonies are not adequate. We will need to reinforce them. We will need to increase our military readiness." "Humans will do the same," Morgan said. "We will increase patrols in this region of space. We will establish more outposts. We will prepare for conflict. And we will invite you to participate in joint defense operations." Cole extended his hand to. In human culture, this was a sign of agreement and respect. Understood the gesture. He extended his own hand. The two commanders shook hands over the conference table. "Then we are allies," said simply. Below in the medical bay, Captain Grant was a human doctor who had been treating wounded. She worked alongside medical officers, and they had learned to respect each other's skills. Grant was speaking with Dr. Aaron Hayes about the injuries she had seen. "They are brutal," Grant said. "They do not take prisoners. They do not show mercy. Anyone who resists is killed." "That is why cooperation is necessary," Hayes replied. "If we stand alone, we will be destroyed. If we stand together, we have a chance." Came to find his mother in the medical bay. He had been resting in a refugee area, and he had heard that his mother was being treated. He ran to her, and she held him tightly. "Are we safe now?" asked. Looked down at her son. She looked at Captain Grant working to save lives. She looked at Dr. Hayes helping to organize the rescue efforts. She looked at the human and medical officers working together. "I think we might be," she said softly. On the bridge of the Defenders, Captain Cole watched the 4 human warships prepare to return to Station Gamma. The Resolute, Liberty, and Phoenix were standing by. The Defenders would lead them home. Their mission on 7 was complete. But Cole knew it was not really complete. The real mission was just beginning. The alliance between humans and had been formed in battle. It would be tested again. They would attack again. But next time, humans and would be ready. Before the human left 7, Cole met with one more time. They stood on the observation deck of the Defenders and looked down at the dying colony below. "You came when I thought no one would come," said. "You risked your soldiers, you risked your ships. Why would you do this?" Cole thought about the question for a moment, then he answered. "Because that is what humans have always done. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We stand against those who prey on the weak. We do this because it is right, not because it serves our interests. That is what it means to be human." Was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I have learned something these past days. I have learned that I was wrong about humanity. I have learned that strength is not just about weapons and technology. Strength is also about courage and compassion. Your species has both." Cole nodded. "And your species is learning that humans are worth having as allies." The 2 commanders looked out at the space around 7. In the distance, stars burned. Somewhere out there, they were planning their next attack. Somewhere out there, other colonies were preparing for conflict. But now, humans and would prepare together. The alliance that had been forged in battle would grow stronger. The galaxy would learn that these 2 species, when united, were a force that could not be easily defeated. As the Defenders began to accelerate away from 7, Cole sent one final message to General. "We will be watching," Cole said. "If you need us again, we will come again, but this time we will make sure you are never surprised again. Humanity and together will be strong." In the communication center, heard the message. He felt something he had not felt in 300 years. He felt hope. He felt the beginning of something new. He felt the start of an alliance that would change the galaxy forever. And somewhere in the ranks, a young officer named smiled. He had been right about the humans all along. He had warned them. Now, finally, his warnings had been proved correct, and the galaxy was safer because of it. And in the darkness of the bunkers, people began to cry, not from fear but from relief. They were alive. They had survived. "All ships, this is the Defenders," Cole transmitted on the secure channel. "We are one step closer to 7. The people there are counting on us. We will not let them down. Maintain course and speed. We will arrive when we are supposed to arrive, and we will fight when we need to fight. Humanity is coming to 7. The 4 ships moved through the darkness of space, carrying with them the hope of 2,000 people who did not yet know that rescue was coming. The ships landed on the colony's surface. Soldiers poured out of the ships, hundreds of them, all heavily armed and ready to kill. They moved toward the domes and the bunker entrances with weapons ready. The real battle was about to begin. "They are weak," Vex said to his officers. "They spread their forces too thin. They do not expect attack. We will land our ships. We will destroy their forces. We will take this colony and strip it of resources. The humans are too far away to help. They will fall in one day." The warships changed course. They accelerated towards 7. Their weapons were charged. Their soldiers were ready. They were coming to destroy everything.